Hi, I am Manasa.
I'm Kavya. We are from 4th Sem BSc PHCS.
Have you ever wondered how refrigerators work at our home?
You guys used to open your fridge at least 10 times a day. It keeps our food fresh and cool. How is this happening? What is the source?
So, today we are here to know how everything works, what is the mechanism, what are the components, etc. So, without any further delay, let's get started. Let us know what is refrigerator.
A refrigerator is one of our most valuable household appliances. It keeps food and drinks cool by pushing a liquid refrigerant through a sealed system which causes it to vaporize and draw heat out of the fridge. The vaporized refrigerant then is passed through coils outside the fridge. This warms up the vapor and changes it back into a liquid. We will move on to history. The first instance of artificial refrigeration was demonstrated by Scottish physician and Professor William Cullen. In 1748, he observed and demonstrated the cooling effect of rapidly evaporating a liquid into gas, but did not put this method into practical use. The modern mechanical refrigeration process we know today grew from the work of numerous inventors in 1800s. American Jacob Perkins invented the first vapor compression system in 1834, while German professor Carl Linde patented a new process for liquefying gases in the late 1800s.
Now, let us learn the principle and physics theory behind refrigerator. The working principle of a refrigerator is based on the second law of thermodynamics, which states that the heat always flows from a hotter object to a cooler object and not the other way around unless the work is done on the system. In the case of refrigerator, the heat is transferred from a colder region to a warmer region. The second law of thermodynamics also states that it is impossible to completely convert heat into work without any loss of energy. Therefore, the cooling effect in the refrigerator is not achieved by creating coldness, but rather by transferring the heat from the inside of the refrigerator to the outside environment. Coefficient of performance. The coefficient of performance is also represented as alpha, which is defined as the ratio of heat Q absorbed from the sink to the work done to remove the heat.
So Manasa, you know what are the components? First is a compressor. The compressor is the heart of a refrigerator. It circulates the refrigerant throughout the system and adds pressure to the warm part of the circuit. Next is a condenser. The condenser sits on the back of a refrigerator and is likely quite dusty. Inside the refrigerant is cooled down and condenses, meaning it turns back from a gas to a liquid. Evaporator. The evaporator is located inside a refrigerator and is the part that makes the items in the refrigerator cold. As the refrigerant turns from liquid to gas through evaporation, it cools the area around it, producing the proper environment for storing food. A capillary tube. A capillary tube is a thin piece of tubing that serves as an expansion device. The liquid refrigerant is routed through the capillary tube and sprayed into the low pressure environment of the evaporator. The refrigerant used is chlorofluoromethane. These are gases used for various purposes including solvents, refrigerants and aerosol sprays. They are organic chemicals and contain carbon, chlorine and fluorine. The last component is a thermostat. The thermostat controls the cooling process by monitoring the temperature and then switching on the compressor on and off. When the sensor senses that it's cold enough inside a refrigerator, it turns off the compressor. If it senses too much heat, it switches the compressor on and begins cooling process again.
Let us look into the working of refrigerators now. A refrigerator works by transferring heat from the inside of the unit to the outside using a cycle of evaporation and condensation of a refrigerant. The main components of a refrigerator are the compressor, condenser, evaporator and expansion valve. The process starts with the compressor, which compresses the refrigerant gas, raising its temperature and pressure. The high pressure gas then flows into the condenser, which is usually located at the back or bottom of the fridge. The condenser cools the hot gas down, causing it to condense into a liquid. The liquid refrigerant then flows through the expansion valve where it rapidly expands and cools down, becoming a low-pressure gas. This cold gas then flows into the evaporator, which is usually located inside the fridge. The evaporator absorbs heat from the air inside the fridge, which causes the refrigerant to evaporate and turn back into the gas. As the refrigerant gas absorbs heat from the fridge, it becomes warmer and returns to the compressor to start the cycle again. The heat absorbed by the refrigerant in the evaporator is released to the outside air. This continuous cycle of evaporation and condensation of the refrigerant, along with the insulation in the walls of the fridge, helps to keep the inside of the fridge cool and at a lower temperature than the surrounding environment. This is how the refrigerants work. So, that was the brief explanation of working of refrigerator.
We hope everything is clear to you and you all enjoy.
Thank you.